So I think my talk will be pretty comprehensible today. I was not in gifted and talented education. But my whole life I've been really interested in what is intelligence, what is human potential, how many kids, even kids that we label gifted and talented, are falling between the cracks because of our outdated notions of what it means to succeed, what it takes to succeed, how human development works, all these various factors that play a role in success. And Julian said that I've spent my career, my professional career studying this question, but that's not technically correct. I've really started asking this question as a little kid. And these are actually what I looked like. This is a real picture of me, age 2 or 3. For the first couple of years of my life, I had a lot of fluid in my ears, and it made it very difficult for me to process information in real time. I developed this learning disability called central auditory processing disorder, and I was treated like I was stupid, just because it took me a little bit longer to hear. I was treated as I was stupid. I was bullied an awful lot. So this is me getting bullied in the third grade bathroom by this kid who was also in special education and took it out on me, and it was ridiculous. I was like, we're in the same boat here, and I follow him on Facebook religiously. I don't think he's in the audience. Okay, and so all the way up to so I got to 5th grade, so we're moving along, right? I'm getting, bullied. My self-esteem is getting lower and lower and lower, and I'm like really internalizing this label, learning disabled. 5th grade, I was sent to a school for kids with learning disabilities, a special school they shipped me off to. Did someone just say what? Or no? Okay. I thought someone was like, what? I must have misheard that. So I was shipped off to a special school. I don't think I was like learning disabled enough or something. I got bullied a lot by the kids there for not being learning disabled enough. It was horrible. And I had to actually bring in, there was Ritalin. Everyone in my class was on Ritalin except for me, and I had to fake it and bring in sugar capsules. Be like, yeah, I got more tablets than you guys have. I need more tablets than you guys need. So that was made me feel cool. And then I got back to middle school, 6th grade, and I was still I kept in special education. And I want you to just go into my head here. So I was in 6th grade, and I really felt as though I was ready for more intellectual challenges. And yet I was still kept in this slow track, and I had this dual identity. On the one hand, I felt like I could handle more, but on the other hand, I was just constantly told and treated by everyone as though I was actually learning disabled. And it created this really this conflict in me that lasted all the way up to 9th grade. There was this pivotal moment in 9th grade where what you would have to do in my school district on the main line of Philadelphia, I don't know if anyone knows where that is. Anyone just Snap or something? Yeah, the main line. What they did if you were in special education is they would remove you from the regular classroom and make you take an untimed test in the special resource room. And so everyone in this class saw that you were leaving the classroom to take this special untimed test, and it was really humiliating. And I remember one day I was sitting there and I was daydreaming, staring across the hall at the gifted biology classroom, and I was like, oh my God, I want to be gifted so badly. The teacher, there was a teacher who was there that day I've never seen before, who was subbing for the regular teacher, and I saw her looking at me and looking at me quizzically, staring out the window, and I panicked as she was approaching me because I was afraid, am I not acting learning disabled enough again? And I started scribbling down answers on the history test, and she approached my desk and she's like, calm the fuck down. You don't need to fill out. She's like, no, she didn't say the F word, but she's like, it's okay. I want to actually ask you a question after class. I was like, it's okay. What? You want to see me after class? So after class, she took me aside and she said, why are you here? Why are you in special education? And I started to answer that question. I had no good answer. I realized I had absolutely no good answer. And it was like a light switch went off in that moment. And I went home. I told my parents I was not reporting to special ed the next day. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. And the school administrators have never seen anything like this before. No one's ever tried to just break out of special ed before. So there was nothing there was nothing in place for this situation. So I had this big meeting with the school administrator and the school psychologist and everyone. It was this big deal. And like, they're like, okay, this is what we're going to do because we're going to let you on a trial basis because we want to cover our ass if you like get out and you fail all your classes. And we're like, see, we told you, you're stupid. You know, like they were like, we want to cover our ass. You know, so they let me out on a trial basis. And I was like, that's fine. Just give me the chance. Just give me the chance. And as soon as I got out, I signed up for everything I could possibly get my hands on. Every role. I was just curious for the first time, what roles am I capable of in life? Like, what could I actually do that isn't learning disabled? Because I was really good at that role. And I signed up for Latin Scholar and didn't do too well on that one. I signed up for like the school musicals and it really wasn't me, the dancing aspects. And I signed up for a lot of things, but I approached my grandfather, who was a cellist with the Philadelphia Orchestra, and he was retired at that point. And I said, you know what, will you teach me how to play cello? I'm going to join the school orchestra. I'm going to join it. And he's like, sure. So that summer, after I got out of special education, I practiced 8-9 hours a day on my cello, and I asked the school conductor, I said, can I join your school orchestra by the start of the school year? And he's like, what do you play? And I was like, I will play cello by the start of the school year. He's like, whatever, dude. Sign up, whatever. So I did sign up, and by the start of the school year, in the first seating test, does anyone know what a seating test is? In the first seating test, I was not last chair. I had beat someone who had been playing since elementary school. However, I should preface that she was tripping on acid during the seating test and grasping at things with her bow that weren't related to the cello. But nonetheless, I did beat her fair and square. And by a couple months into the school year, all the crutches were off. I started off playing the first downbeat. My grandfather gave me a special composition so that I could keep up with the orchestra. But by a couple months, the crutches had come off. I was playing the regular score. By the end of high school, I was getting straight A's. I went from a CD student in special ed to straight A student. And I, what else? What other goodies, right? I got into college, right? And a lot of these things, and there's a lot more to this story, but I just want to give you the basic idea of just how much it matters to, I should probably end with like the triumphant note. I got a PhD from Yale in psychology a couple years ago. Yeah, so I always like forget that part, and my friends are like, dude, you have to add that in. That's like the best shit, I always forget like that, like ending, But there was a lot of bumps along the way and a lot of opportunities where I didn't do well in standardized tests, and I had to show what I was capable of doing through other routes. And it really made me think of what exactly are people capable of that we're not even giving them, if we gave them the opportunity to succeed. So I've been trying to study the psychology of this stuff, and I've gone far ahead here. Okay. So in one of the longest studies ever conducted on this topic, there's a famous psychologist called E. Paul Torrance. Has anyone ever heard of E. Paul Torrance? Werner, represent. Okay, so E. Paul Torrance is a very famous psychologist. In the 50s, he asked, I wonder, what does it take to reach the highest heights of creative genius? I'm going to take every single elementary student that I have in my school district, and I'm going to give them every test imaginable. I'm going to give them IQ tests. I'm going to give them my own Torrance test of creativity. I'm going to do interviews, in-depth interviews, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they have been following these kids up for more than 50 years now. Torrance followed them up 30 years. And we have a good idea now of what the best predictors are of lifelong creative achievement and personal creative fulfillment. And I want to ask you, what do you think stood head and shoulders, what factor above every other factor that he studied? He found a lot of factors were important, but he found there was one factor that really made a huge difference in separating what he called the beyonders, those who changed their fields, those who really did creative things, and the sociometric stars. He had people rate who were the most likely to succeed in high school, and he found they were different people. The beyonders were different than the sociometric stars. What was the number one factor? If you guess this, you'll get a kiss on your forehead from me. No, what was it? Passion, creativity, stick-to-itiveness, engagement, curiosity. What was it? Posture? Did you say posture? Is that like a hint? So, None of those things were the number one, but it's funny because everything except for the posture one actually made his list of the Beyonder characteristics. So you guys have a good idea of it. But the one thing that stood head and shoulders above everything else was the extent to which these elementary school kids had some vision of themselves in the future. It was as simple as that. He just coded this one variable, 1, 2, yes, no. Or maybe it was 0, 1, whatever, it doesn't matter. Yes, no. I'm getting all nerdy here, sorry. Yes, no. And he found that those who fell in love with a future image of themselves were the most likely and this out-predicted IQ scores. It out-predicted academic achievement, okay? It was the extent to which merely they had some sort of future image of themselves. And this is a quote towards the end of his life after a lifetime of studying these kids. This is a brilliant quote I love from him. He said, "Life's most energizing and exciting moments occur in those split seconds when our struggling and searching are suddenly transformed into the dazzling aura of the profoundly new, an image of the future. One of the most powerful wellsprings of creative energy, outstanding accomplishment, and self-fulfillment seems to be falling in love, really falling in love, that's why I put it twice, with something." No, I obviously messed up there. But anyway, in love with something, your dream, your image of the future. And I think there's something very quite profound about this finding that I think has been lost in the literature, in the scientific literature. You know, this is something he found after 30 years of studying this. And we're trying to, as scientists, kind of resurrect this and look at it from lots of different vantage points. How much time do I have, by the way? Like, 2 minutes. I have 2 minutes. Oh, my God. Okay. Okay. Well, I have 100 slides to go. Some very smart cognitive scientists about 10, 12 years ago said, well, we wonder, is there any value to the inner stream of consciousness? Is there any value to daydreaming, mind-wandering, imagination? And they found that this brain network is highly associated with creativity. And this brain network is not active when you take an IQ test. When you take an IQ test, and I have nothing against IQ tests, but it's one kind of cognition. But that's not the kind of cognition that arises from the imagination network. And what I've been trying to do in recent years, I'm just going to skip through a lot of stuff and tell you what my most practical stuff is. This is like a slow motion controller. Let me actually, it really is like, come on. I just want to get to right where I am right now. So 2 months ago, I started my new job. I was an NYU professor the past 5 years and recently moved to Philadelphia. I was hired as scientific director of the brand new Imagination Institute at University of Pennsylvania. And it's a really exciting time for this field where we're really trying to, turbocharge a field and perhaps even start a new field. It depends on just how much research we get going in this. But we really want to spur research and researchers from various different and foster collaborations among artists, creative. We're sending out research proposals. We're giving lots of money away for research on imagination. Music schools, art schools, leadership, military, China. We really want to get more innovation going on China, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the key things, by the way, does anyone recognize this? You will get bonus points. What is this? So my favorite ride at Epcot Center growing up was called Journey into the Imagination, and it starred this big purple dragon called Figgy, who was the scientific director of the Imagination Institute. Isn't that like crazy? It was actually called the Imagination Institute, and I always had this dream of someday, like being a purple dinosaur, and it never happened, but. I did get a chance to work, and what this ride was called is the Dream Catcher, okay? So that ride is called the Dream Catcher. And one of my main missions has been to try to catch dreams from children regardless and help them, not just catch them, hold on to them and help them actually get there. And I've been working with this educational group called The Future. Has anyone heard of the Future Project? Yeah, that's so cool. Do we have any dream directors here? Are you a dream director? No? Okay. It's so exciting. So this organization, I was their initial advisor to help get this, design this program, get it off the ground. It's in its 3rd year now. And what we do is we have built a full-time position in the high schools called the Dream Director. It's not your typical guidance counselor who you go to and you say, you know what, I really want to do this, and they say, be realistic. You go to a dream director, no offense if we have any guidance counselors in this room, I'm sure you're the exception to that rule, but but you can go into the full-time job, dream director, you say, you know what, I want to cure world peace, or not cure, have world peace, cure world hunger. I always mix my metaphors. I want to cure world, I don't want fuck world peace. Yeah, I want to cure that shit. What do you say? Problem solved, yeah. And what do they say? Well, the dream director says, great, how can we get you there? There's no IQ threshold for being able to have a dream. It's not like it's not like, oh, well, we have to measure your test scores and see if you're allowed to dream. You know, we want to shift the whole model of education away from this really, this model that simply is not working. It's not working for anyone. So we have this, thank you. So we have this dream. We imagine a world where any student anywhere can put a dream into action. And so some of these kids who have been written off by the school system do the most remarkable things. And the point is not that they have to cure whatever. I don't want to make that mistake again. I don't want to think about it. They don't want to cure, cure broccoli. You know, if they want to cure broccoli, it's not that they have to actually cure broccoli. That's not, because that's a big goal. That's a very lofty goal to cure broccoli. But the point is, every step they take towards curing broccoli, you see a transformation in them. All you have to do is give them a chance to go towards their future. That's it. And it transforms their academic performance. It transforms, everything stems and trickles down from there. So I personally can attest to the power of inspiration. I shouldn't have shown you that picture yet. But anyway, that was not dramatic. But I personally can attest to the power of inspiration. Because that teacher in 9th grade who just calls me, all she did was one little comment questioning my order in the whole society, questioning my order in the school system, just questioning, saying, you know what, maybe I don't belong here. Maybe I am capable of more, and inspired me to do great things. I had never seen her again after that day. And when I was researching my book, Ungifted, 2 years ago, I decided to seek her out. And with the help of people at my high school, we got her email address, and I emailed her, and she remembered me right away. She said, oh, you're the kid I almost lost my job over. I wasn't supposed to do that. No. But she remembered me. She's like, oh, you're that black-haired kid, she's like, and she was so happy. She invited me. She was a principal of a middle school at that point. She invited me to come talk to her special education students. And yes, this is the picture now of me and her visiting. And I talked to her special ed students, and I caused a revolt, and we'll never be invited back there again. That's irrelevant. The point is that I didn't really cause a revolt, I'm joking. But I gave a talk to the special ed students, and I told them the number one thing they need to do is be their own self, God bless you, whatever that was going on there, murder, sneeze, whatever. What I said, is you have to be your own self-advocate in life, okay? And that's the one huge message. So I just want to leave today with one call, which I've been just going around all over, everywhere. Anyone who will just listen to me, to this one simple message. I'm very adamant that we need to shift our culture, our educational culture, our business culture, everything in our culture, from this obsessive need to evaluate, to this culture of evaluation, to a culture of inspiration. I think we'll be very pleasantly surprised by just how much creative potential is possible in everyone. Thank you. Label learning disabled. 5th grade, I was sent to a school for kids with learning disabilities, a special school they shipped me off to. Did someone just say what? Or no? Okay. I thought someone was like, what? I must have misheard that. So I was shipped off to a special school. I don't think I was like learning disabled enough or something. I got bullied a lot by the kids there for not being learning disabled enough. It was horrible. And I had to actually bring in, there was Ritalin. Everyone in my class was on Ritalin except for me, and I had to fake it and bring in sugar capsules. Be like, yeah, I got more tablets than you guys have. I need more tablets than you guys need. So that was made me feel cool. And then I got back to okay, so I think my talk will be pretty comprehensible today. I was not in gifted and talented education. But my whole life, I've been really interested in what is intelligence, what is human potential, how many kids, even kids that we label gifted and talented, are falling between the cracks because of our outdated notions of what it means to succeed, what it takes to succeed, how human development works, all these various factors that play a role in success. And Julian said that I've spent my career, my professional career studying this question, but that's not technically correct. I've really started asking this question as a little kid. And these are actually what I looked like. This is a real picture of me, age 2 or 3. For the first couple years of my life, I had a lot of fluid in my ears, and it made it very difficult for me to process information in real time. I developed this learning disability called central auditory processing disorder. And I was treated like I was stupid, just because it took me a little bit longer to hear. I was treated as I was stupid. I was bullied an awful lot. So this is me getting bullied in the third grade bathroom by this kid who was also in special education and took it out on me, and it was ridiculous. Like I was like, we're in the same boat here, and I follow him on Facebook. Religiously. I don't think he's in the audience. Okay, and so all the way up to fifth. So I got to fifth grade. So we're moving along, right? I'm getting, bullied. My self-esteem is getting lower and lower and lower, and I'm like really internalizing this. Middle school, sixth grade, and I was still I kept in special education. And I want you to just go into my head here. So I was in sixth grade, and I really felt as though I was ready for more intellectual challenges, and yet I was still kept in this slow track, and I had this dual identity. Like on the one hand, I felt like I could handle more, but on the other hand, I was just constantly told and treated by everyone as though I was actually learning disabled, and it created this really this conflict in me that lasted all the way up to ninth grade. There was this pivotal moment in ninth grade where what you would have to do in my school district